Hi everyone, welcome to another video on how to foam roll. Today we're gonna roll through our sides, through our ribs, and I think we'll go through the back routine as well. Beautiful. So let's start on the ribs. For this you have to be in a side position, makes sense. And you want to have the roller kind of in your waist, so just on the kind of floating ribs down the bottom. That's where we're going to start. So actually a little bit above the floating ribs, because obviously we don't want to push those ribs into our inner organs. So find where it's somewhat stable, and then kind of just see how it is feeling for you to actually lie and put some pressure onto that roller. And so once you're comfortable, I hope you can manage a little bit of pressure here. If it's painful, obviously the more you press out of your shoulder, come away from the floor, the easier it is. So put as much pressure down as you can, push the pressure on, and then just roll backwards and forwards. That's all we're going to do to move through our rib cage, okay? You will most likely feel that that is enough as well, okay? So you don't want to go into big shimmy actions here or anything. I mean, you can, yeah, as I said, there's no rules here as such. However, for most people, this is absolutely efficient. Move on to the next bit, a little bit further up. Again, a couple of rolls, right to left, just applying that pressure. You can kind of pull the skin back and forward a bit as you roll through, and that will create a bit of a shear between obviously the closer layers to the surface. Forwards and back a couple of times. Now the closer we get into your armpit, most people find that it gets more uncomfortable. So again, just be aware of how much pressure you can apply here. Now I am starting to shimmy as I come up because we are having more muscle tissue now. But again, it's a very slow, very cautious and very aware movement that I'm doing. Being very careful with the pressure I'm applying, as I don't want to get myself into too much pain. What we're trying to achieve here in the end is a self-massage, and I'm a big believer that massage shouldn't be painful. Like, it can be painful, but only to the point where you can breathe through the pain, so you're not tensing up. So the closer we get to the armpit, as I said, we kind of want to go right in there. But once we get to that point, you want to get your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers and relax the weight of your head into your hands. You may have to reposition yourself here. And we're right in the armpit now, and we're rolling from the forward position into the back through the shoulder blade. And this can be very uncomfortable for a lot of people, going through your infraspinatus muscle. It's a very small muscle on the rotator cuff complex and can be very uncomfortable for a lot of people. And we're just going to roll in and out, forward and back, again just a few times. And that's the side of the ribs done. Now while we're here, we're simply going to rotate over to the other side, but then once you come out just of that shoulder movement, so once you come out of your armpit from the other side, you're going to just roll up onto your back, get the roller for women onto your bra line, for men kind of just below the nipples, and possibly even a little bit lower. So we don't want to kind of sit with it on the lower back, but with the lower thoracic. From here, interlace your fingers behind your head so you can put some pressure. And again, if you're doing this for the first time, actually just put some pressure into the roller from here just to see how that feels before you even think about lifting the bum off the floor. Okay, because this could be enough already as it is. If it is, you can move your way up towards the neck, just in that fashion. Yeah, keep your bum on the floor, push into the roller, release. Then move on, next spot, push, release, nice and slowly, and move on. Now, if you can handle the force, bring your bum up. So now there's no pushing needed, your body weight is pushing into the roller, doing the job for you, and you can literally just, now we're actually rolling up and down. Again, I personally like to stay on one spot and just work through that for a while before I move on and move into the next area. We're going to do this all the way up into the shoulder blades. Now with the rollers that I'm using here, this can feel a bit, you're not really getting, because you're interlacing your arms, so your shoulder blades are somewhat in the way. There is kind of egg-shaped, like two egg-shaped ones with a bit of a mold in the middle to adjust for the spine. These are quite good for the back, but to be honest, in the end, this is all you need. If you've got issues further in between the shoulder blades, under the shoulder blades, I'd recommend you go and see someone to get in there because that will be made more sufficient. Alright, cool. So once you've gone all the way up there, we're going to bring the roller back down. And then from here, you want to bring your bum back to the floor, nice and relaxed. And from here, we're just going to let our head, our upper body drop and come into extension as far as you can manage, particularly when you're starting the first few reps. They're not going to go as low, but as you move through this a few times, coming out of it, this should adjust and you should be able to move lower and lower to the floor. I'm not going to go through it as long as I need to actually get my head onto the ground, but it is possible to get the back of your head down to the floor and still a fair way away from that. Can feel I'm a bit too tight today because I've just trained. Deep breath, use your breath to help you through those movements. Now you might see how my lower back is arching as well, so personally I like to try and actually work a little bit active against that and come out of that over extension through the lower back, because in the end all that does, so the more I extend through the lower back, the easier it obviously is to get my head to the floor, but that's exactly what I don't want to do. Okay, I do want to get my head to the floor, but not because I'm flexible through my lower back, but because I'm opening up through my upper back, through the thoracic region. So if I feel my lower back starting to arch, I actively actually push it back towards the floor and really focus on getting my upper back to move and to open up rather than my lower back. Okay, so if you're not quite sure about this one, again, you might want to book in for a session, even if it's just half an hour. We can go through it together, help you to make sure you're doing this right. There's no point doing this by keeping overextending through the lower back, as this is a position in particular women are often in anyway. Okay, so this is a comfortable position for you. We want to try and open up through here, get this into a bit more of a flex position here and be able to move and move more through our thoracic. And this is how we work through our back. Now, even though I've already rolled up, so usually when you're down here, so before you move up, before you actually get out of those extension moves, once you've done those, you can come back into this position here, and you're now going into extension movements through the side of the ribs. Actually, thinking about it, I usually do these before I do my extensions because it'll help with my extensions later on. So please take note of that. Alright, to finish up, we're going to bring the roller down under our hips, and we're going to place the roller just above the plumber's crack. Okay, so right down on your sacrum, on your tailbone. Relax the knees, try and relax that lower back into the floor. So hold on to your roller. If you've got a short one, tuck your fingers in. If you've got a long one, you can grab around it. So hold on to that. From here, you just want to roll, let your knees come down on either side, rolling through that hip a little bit. Starting to mobilizing the spine, because what we're doing now is not really foam rolling, it's more of a spine mobilization, getting some movement into the spine, getting the vertebrae to move. Alright, so now we're going to get our legs extended onto the leg extended in towards the ceiling. And we're going to start just by open them up to the side and bring them back together. Let them cross over and let them fall back out again. Nice and gentle to start with and slow to start with. So you want to find your end range where your legs are happy to go and bring them back in. As you find that, once you get there, try and get a little bit of a bounce happening. So kind of stop just before, if you can manage, right in that end range and bring it back. Now that bounciness encourages our connective tissue to move and to do some work rather than our muscles. So this movement, theoretically, you should be able to do for quite a while without getting tired, because you're not really using your muscles as such, okay? Where if you're like tensing your legs and you're letting it drop and then use your inner thigh muscles to pull your legs back up, that's going to be tiring and you won't be able to do as many reps. Where this is your connective tissue, you're loading and unloading using energy that's already there. Beautiful. Now we're going to change this movement into scissor legs, giving it a nice hamstring stretch. What are you doing under there? Nice hamstring stretch through the top leg and nice opening up through the hip on the lower leg, okay? Also, as you open this up, you want to point your toes on the lower leg as well as pull the heel up on the top leg to increase that stretch into that hammy. Again, as you start this movement, you just want to go nice and slowly. I've got a really sore leg today, so this is not going to be looking as good as it could. Oh yeah. So yeah, go nice and slowly. Find where you're happy to go on this day, today, tomorrow, whenever you're doing this. This can change depending on how your body is going. Once you know where you're at, start and get a little bounce. If you can't quite reach the floor, that's fine. You can still bounce out of the air. Okay, so by knowing where you're going to stop, that's creating that bounce, bringing it back. It's not a muscular move, but more so using the momentum your body is creating using gravity. Okay, if you can get all the way down, you can use the ground reaction force to even push yourself back up and go through your scissor legs here, getting some movement through the spine, getting a nice stretch through the hammy and opening that hip joint at the same time. And that's it for the back routine.